Having been stuck with goats as the dominant meta for a year, another composition has now become a mainstay alternative on select maps. Widely popularized and given legitimacy by one of the most unexpected teams in the Overwatch League, the Chengdu Hunters. Every team in the league has learned to fear Jinmu's terrifying fair play and respect Auming's unrelenting wrecking ball. Over the course of Stage 2 this season, every team in the Overwatch League has been inspired at least in small part to splash more DPS into their playbook here and there, due to the success of the Chengdu. The Hunters are staying true to their name, making themselves known across the globe for their DPS-insistent play in a meta where tanks reign supreme. And today, we're going to be dissecting how the Chengdu managed to execute their signature multi-DPS composition in the wild. So without further ado, let's roll out and take a look at behind the action. To begin, let's establish what the goal of any composition featuring DPS is. What are the Hunters aiming for when playing any of their DPS-based compositions? May it be triple, quad, or even the 2-2-2 spread we all miss so dearly. In Overwatch, making a single pick is oftentimes all your team will need to quickly snowball a lead and lead your opponents scrambling to respond. Any composition that plays around the DPS as the crux of your team will need to get kill after kill to remain effective, and multiple DPS compositions are designed to excel at exactly that. The Chengdu Hunters look to maximize the number of lethal threats in their compositions, and pick characters that will always urge the enemy team to pay close attention, or else they suffer the consequences. For the Hunters, this strategy has proven a potent method to counter common variants of the GOAT's composition when played perfectly. When done right, the Chengdu make the enemy truly feel as if they are the ones being hunted. In fact, Yveltal, the main support for the Hunters, has even stated that during Stage 1 that the Hunters truly believed that if they executed their style at the highest level, they could beat a triple-triple composition every time. Now let's look at the pieces of the composition in more detail. What specific characters are selected by the professionals in a DPS-oriented composition in this metagame ruled by 3-3? For the Hunters and many teams that have followed suit, the staple heroes in a multi-DPS composition are Wrecking Ball, Pharah, Mercy, and Sombra, and usually rounded out by characters that round out the needs of the team, given their playstyle or the needs of a map. Popular characters include Xianyao, Soldier 76, and Widowmaker for example. We can see that all the core heroes played in a multi-DPS composition, with the common variant being triple DPS, share the commonality of being difficult to run over by Deathball. This strength is starkly exemplified in the staple characters that we've just listed. Wrecking Ball speeds into and away from battle without much need for backup, armed with all the abilities to engage and disengage safely. Hammond is not afraid to start fights by himself due to his on-demand shield, which is difficult to break even when slamming straight onto an entire enemy team, and a very brief cooldown on his grappling hook means that he is nearly always prepared to swing away from danger. He is threatening enough alone to draw aggro from the enemy team even if he is rolling solo, and he stays alive long enough without resources to buy his DPS precious time to overwhelm the enemy. Pharah and Mercy soar the skies with abandon, rockets firing from above, inconveniencing just about every hero in the game. Mercy's combination makes them both much more resilient and survivable in tandem, but also a much bigger threat that simply cannot be ignored. Pharah is already nearly untouchable for the majority of the GOAT's composition, and her damage can easily pick off stragglers or build to a potentially devastating barrage very quickly. Mercy as the primary healer in a triple DPS composition just makes the most sense of all when looking at our current support pool. She is the most suited to reliably heal multiple targets quickly and stay alive without much assistance. The res is just a big bonus.
Heroes never die.
Sombra is the master of stealth, and can infiltrate the enemy lines with ease. It is not difficult for Sombra to get what she is looking for with her invisibility, and just to simply slip out without a hitch. Knowing that she just needs a couple of precious seconds to render some heroes entirely defenseless, will force at least some of the enemy team to be on red alert all game. But she is certainly no pushover even without a successful hack. Sombra will threaten to assassinate some squishier targets outright, or farm up for an EMP that can mean the end of a game with the push of a button. Due to their inherent mobility, accessibility to escape tools, and damage potential that cannot simply be ignored, these heroes are difficult to mow down with tanks and supports, if your team does not have stellar coordination and target focus. Without concise plans and quick organization, the GOAT's composition can greatly struggle to get just about anywhere without being dismantled en route to their objective. One of the biggest reasons to play GOATs is the oppressive snowballing nature, but against a well-played triple DPS, those powerful rattling back-to-back ultimates are going to come up really slowly when you're never able to get into the thick of a fight together. Every core character in this composition is reasonably self-sufficient, an intentional design choice due to the general lack of available healing and tanking that their allies supply. For this reason, a character like Bastion is not going to be a good fit, because he needs an entire composition built around him to get going. But that doesn't mean we don't see the occasional mix-up from Chengdu. Their DPS compositions are anything but one-dimensional. Just ask the Paris Eternal.
Here. Nope, they're going to teleport. Oh, the high ground. Oh, look at that. Oh, they put it down. All right. see Gray falls. This is going to get broken by the Hunters.
And
really sick up.
At some point, the Eternal had to come forward. Chengdu say, we know you have a Bastion. We're just not going to give you line of sight.
But no matter which heroes the Hunters choose to play, their core philosophy is always in mind. Look to deal large bursts of damage quickly and reliably, and prioritizing staying alive or getting away when the attention inevitably turns to you. Just like how you may have to juggle aggro on a raid boss in an MMO dungeon, a triple DPS composition will try to make sure they keep the enemy occupied and peppered down until they need to tag out. Let's take a look at the Hunters in action, and highlight their beautiful and deadly display of coordination. Here on Numbani, we can see just how much trouble Jinwoo's Pharah can be for Atlanta to deal with, constantly pumping out rockets from off angles with Yveltal's Mercy Pocket. Late Young's D.Va does a great job of keeping their front line's damage mitigated and distracted, and Auming's Wrecking Ball threatens to capture the point, and Atlanta are slowly overwhelmed with concerns to attend to. Eventually the Reign are forced to abandon their high ground and contest the point, giving up even more valuable space to the Hunters to continue wringing them out. Credit to Atlanta, they do a great job of keeping themselves healthy and topped off, and Defran even manages to build a grav. But due to the nature of triple DPS and how split they often are, Defran is unable to get any value from his grav, and Chengdu brutally punish Atlanta's poor attempt at aggression.
Big ults come online, another stun on Hammond. Hammond goes down.
We're going to need some big plays here. There's the EMP, followed by the barrage. 1, 2, and 3. Excellent response here from the Hunters.
In this clip, we see Chengdu coming off an early flip against the London Spitfire on Oasis, and we can see how their triple DPS play is dangerous even when having to play with defense in mind. The Hunters play further up, utilizing as much of the map space as possible to whittle down and scout the London Spitfire on the run up to the point. Sombra's presence is a constant worry for them, and a great source of information as Chengdu look to abuse their stock of ultimates against the Spitfire. Although Auming gets hacked and picked above his team on the point, Yveltal is easily able to find his way to Wrecking Ball to resurrect him without worry of death due to the Hunters' plentiful damage keeping them occupied. We can see that the Chengdu is drilled and experienced enough in this style that they can succeed even when they are forced to adjust. Chengdu is more than happy to change things up because of how deep their pockets are, seemingly proficient in the style no matter what heroes they play. May it be Tracer and Soldier 76 splashed in on Gibraltar, or Torbjorn and Widowmaker with a solo tank Orisa on King's Row, you can never be sure what the Hunters will do next. This is the team that set the impressive league record for most heroes played in a match in over a minute, with 27 characters total, in their series against the Washington Justice. The Chengdu Hunters are an incredibly flexible team, and being so highly adaptive means that they will not always play the same DPS comp in every situation. Nowadays, it is not uncommon to sometimes see the Pandas opting for a safer 2-2-2 composition if a more well-balanced triple DPS style isn't cutting it. And at times when they're feeling bold, the Chengdu roster can even play the glass cannon quad DPS when the situation allows. Growing more adept with every day, the Hunters refuse to fall behind, setting the pace and standard for DPS team play in the Overwatch League at the moment.
Gets hit with the hack, and it looks like Hunters are going to win the fight. They'll keep pushing that payload.
Though we have seen various professional teams take a stab at the triple or quad DPS, following the suit of the Hunters, none capture the same feelings of thrill and adventure, nor do they exhibit the same levels of ingenuity by this Chinese team. After endless months of tank play, seeing such vibrant and exciting play from the Chengdu Hunters have made all of us fans of this tenacious team. The Hunters are now amongst the most popular in the Overwatch League, made evident by how many representatives from their team have been elected into All-Stars. No matter who they play against, the Hunters are sure to have the undying support from the community for reinvigorating and legitimizing DPS play at a time when we most needed it to happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think watching a heavy DPS-centered metagame is more interesting and enjoyable? If the other teams were to pick up this style of play as their signature style, what teams do you think would excel at it the most? Would any teams be better than the Hunters at their own game? Do you think Auming is the Kobe Bryant of Wrecking Ball players? Let us know what your thoughts are. Like and subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time at Akshon Esports.